How fun was Friday?
Oh, it was unbelievable. It's the kids have been working really, really hard throughout the week, and it's good for those guys to reap the rewards. It was, the ball movement was incredible. It's been really good all year, but the other night in particular was unbelievable. It was fun. To answer your question, it was fun.
What's been the focus on practice since then, and what have you guys tried to improve on between that game and tomorrow?
We've got to continue to become better rebounding team, especially when we're playing against teams that shoot the three, which we will tomorrow night against Miami. They're shooting close to 46% from the three-point line. They've got 4 guys, if I'm not mistaken, at 50% or greater. So long shots, long rebounds. We've got to make sure that we rebound the ball tomorrow night. So we've been working on that quite a bit.
How do you think your three-point defense has been to this point?
We've done some good things. Obviously, we can continue to improve as the year goes on. I think there are teams that come into Rupp and they're really excited, and they may not shoot a high percentage, but on that particular night they do. So with a young team, the more we watch film, every game becomes beneficial for the staff, becomes beneficial for our guys. So as the year goes on, I think we'll continue to improve defensively.
What sticks out to you about Miami's offense and the way they've been able to score points and especially get those looks from three-point range?
They're a dangerous team. They're averaging 89 points a night, and as I mentioned, 46% from the three-point line, 4 guys at 50% or greater. They've got 4 guards on the floor at any given time, and their 5-man essentially is a hybrid modern big man, a guy that can beat you off the dribble. If he rebounds the ball, he can push the ball in transition, which makes it dangerous because there's no post presence. So our bigs have to be conscious of running back in transition and guarding the three-point line as opposed to running to the blocks.
The way you describe them kind of sounds like a similar team to you guys. Would you say that?
There are some similarities. We've got 5 guys and 6 guys at double digits. We shoot a pretty high percentage at 42% from the three-point line. Trey is not a typical big man in the sense that he's posting up for 40 minutes. He's capable of doing it, but you guys have watched him this season. He's very good on the perimeter. He's a tremendous facilitator. He makes a lot of decisions for our team, and he doesn't turn the ball over, which allows us to average 20 assists a game.
Outside of the three-point shooting and the run and gun pace, what have you seen, maybe some of the more subtle things on film from Miami that you've seen?
They play free. They play confident. They've got older guys on the team, experienced guys who've done this before. They don't play. They play like a team that's connected. I think that's the biggest thing as you watch those guys. And in today's day and age, where we've got so many kids transferring from the portal, early on teams are not as connected, and they seem to be like a team that's very connected.
What stuck out to you about Rob and Reed in this kind of role they're playing where it seems like Cal's kind of thumbing them in even before the first TV timeout every game?
Those guys feed off one another. We feed off those two. They've got a tremendous chemistry. It's not just those two, our entire team, I feel. For a young team and being as early as it is in the season, we have a chemistry and we seem to be connected. But to answer your question, those two really are fun to watch. They've got something going on, and I think it started in Toronto and it's grown over the last few months.
What do you think that does to the opposing team when you can throw in 2 guys like that? Not just from a talent perspective, but they're going to come at you a little different than whoever's coming out of the game.
Yeah, it puts pressure on the opposing team for sure. They're 2 kids who are unselfish. They're looking for one another. They're capable three-point shooters. They can beat you off the bounce and get to the rim. So, it does, puts pressure on opposing teams knowing that within 4 minutes, DJ and Justin are coming back and they'll continue to get better as the year goes on. And the other night was a perfect example of that. We had Rob and Reed come in the game, and then DJ and Justin played out of their minds. So it was a good night. It was a good night.
We've spoken a couple times about the ball movement and y'all's assist-to-turnover ratios at a crazy high rate so far this year. So what do you ascribe the ball movement and being able to facilitate and get assists without getting the ball movement so far?
I think Coach Cal did a great job in Toronto implementing our offense, really trying to create an identity for this team. He's been able to put guys in places where they can succeed. Trey, I thought, was the biggest example of that. He goes from playing in the Big 12, where it's a physical, grinded out league, And I thought Coach Cal was able to say, you know what, I think he's got more to his game than just posting up. And it's helped us. I mean, he's unbelievable. So I think in Toronto, Coach Cal was able to place some guys in position to succeed. And I think he was able to identify Trey as a guy that can really help this team with this offense. And thus far, it's been really, really good.
Was that something that took a lot of work to unlock from Trey? Or is that something that come naturally to him? Like, how do you guys coax this kind of passing ability out of him?
Well, I think he's underrated. He's an underrated offensive player. I think he's an underrated perimeter player. And again, I sound like a broken record, but I think Cal was able to identify that immediately, and which then became beneficial to our young guys. So the pressure for Rob and Reed and DJ and Justin to make the decisions on a day-to-day basis, took some pressure off those guys, because now you have a veteran guy who can make those decisions for them.
PJ Wagner had a slow start to the year, but these past 2 games, he's really come out of his shell. What have you liked from the last 2 games, and what would you like to see from him moving forward?
Well, DJ A is a great kid, hard worker, so you knew it was just a matter of time. The advantage that we have is we're with him every day, and he's got a great spirit. He's got a great spirit about him. He's smiling, he's high-fiving, even on the days where maybe he's not playing to his potential. So it's just a matter of time that he was going to break out. And hopefully he can just continue to be consistent as the season goes on, which is, it's a hard thing for us to ask of an 18-year-old, but he's been really good. He's been tremendous.
Is there any update on the big guys?
I think Aaron's, coming along. I'm not quite sure when exactly he's coming back, but he's starting to do some individual work at practice, which is really exciting to see him on the court. Ugo is starting to come along slowly, so we're excited about those 2.
How do you think Aaron will impact the team once he does return? Do you think you all will have to slow down things a little bit on the pace-wise? Or?
Well, I think it's all predicated on Aaron in the sense that is he in good enough shape to get up and down? How many minutes can he play? I think his skill set fits the way we play. He's a 7-footer that can protect the rim defensively, which would be unbelievable for us, without compromising offense, because he's skilled enough to shoot the 3, skilled enough to put the ball on the floor, which makes it really, really exciting for us. It alleviates some pressure off of Trey. We've been asking him to play close to 35 minutes a night, and he's been incredible in terms of not getting in foul trouble and playing hard every possession. But I think Aaron, when we get him back, will help Trey out. We'll be a better defensive team, I think, because we can protect the rim a little bit, but we won't compromise offense because he's skilled enough to play the way we've been playing.
So what have you guys seen from, I know he's been in and out of practice, but what have you seen from Z over these past few weeks when he's been out there? A talented, he's such a unique player. He's 7'2", who can run, but he's also a lot like Aaron, skilled enough to shoot the 3, skilled enough to put the ball on the floor. He's just unique in that sense. You don't see too many human beings on the planet at his size that can do the things that he does on the perimeter. So, when you see him do those things in practice, you get excited because you can see the potential of what can be.
I was going to ask, Miami obviously lost their 2 leading scorers from last year. You've already noted how effectively they're scoring anyway. Just how good of a barometer do you think this is for this program, considering Miami each of the last 2 seasons went to the Elite 8 and then they're coming off a Final Four run?
It's a great game to be a part of. I think this is one of the reasons why you come to Kentucky to play in these early non-conference games. It certainly will challenge us, but I think we've had 2 or 3 good days of practice. Our spirit is in a good place. Our enthusiasm for learning, our enthusiasm in practice has been tremendous. So, we're excited to toss it up tomorrow night and see what happens.
Replacing Friday's, duplicating Friday's productions, unlikely, especially a team like that. So how excited are you to see your team, deal with some hiccups? The game just kind of is flowing for them right now, but a good team like that's going to, throw a hiccup in there. How do you feel like the team's going to respond?
I thought last week or 10 days ago when we played St. Joe's was an example of that. We have been playing well, and I think people are not giving St. Joe's enough credit. People are asking nationally. I've heard people throughout the last 10 days talk about how do they play? How do they go to overtime against St. Joe? Well, St. Joe's played really well, and we could have very easily lost that game, but we didn't lose that game. There was adversity in that game. We were able to overcome it. And I think we have a tendency to forget other teams around the country who are nationally ranked. They're losing those games. They have lost those games. We didn't lose that game. And St. Joe's, you got to give them credit. They played really well. So I think tomorrow, to your point, there's going to be some tough stretches because they're a really good team. But I think the St. Joe's game was a glimpse of our young guys starting to grow up and starting to deal with some of that adversity.
Defensively giving up maybe more points than you want. Is that because of the pace you play in offense? Because Miami's similar where they give a lot of points too. Is that just kind of a give or take thing, or is there something you can improve on still?
No, I think we can continue to improve on a lot of things, particularly with a team so young. I think situations, coming out of timeouts, whether you're on defense on an OB or offense, shot clock, coming out of the timeout, is it a short clock? Is it a full clock? All these situations are completely new for our guys, so I think we can improve on those things, and they have improved, and they'll continue to improve.
How rare is it to have guys, 4 or 5 guys consistently scoring in double figures night in and night out?
It's such a hard thing to do, even with a veteran group. It's just a hard thing because you don't have enough skilled guys on one team to score double digits, and for us to do it, and to do it with a bunch of young kids, really, they're not getting enough credit for it. And I think Trey Mitchell, I mentioned him earlier, he's a big part of that. He's one of the better transfers in the country, in my opinion. What he's been able to do and how he's been able to gel with this team has been incredible.
Get those young guys to buy into that kind of mentality. I mean, Reed had the 25-point game, takes a one shot the next game. Rob had like 5 rebounds, 5 assists before he even took a shot the other night. What is that? Just in them, or are you guys talking to them throughout the preseason?
I think they're really talented. I'm stating the obvious, but I think Coach Cal's done an unbelievable job of creating a fun environment. I think those guys enjoy playing. I think they enjoy playing the style of play. I think they enjoy playing with one another. And I think, Cal did a great job in Toronto, like setting the parameters, like this is going to be fun. We're going to play this way. We're going to share the ball. You guys got to trust each other. And I think that's starting to really show as the year goes on.
When you learned that this was how you guys were going to play this year, you mentioned Toronto a few times. I mean, did that surprise you just because, again, you've worked with Cal in the past, but this is obviously a kind of a big departure from how he has played stylistically?
Well, this is my first year here at Kentucky,
Yeah.
so I'm not quite sure how they played in years past there. But when we were at Memphis, we played at a fast pace, and we shared the ball, and maybe didn't shoot the ball as well as this team, but we certainly played up and down. And so, to me, it just reminded me of the style of play back in 2008.
Anything different about Cal from then to now?
Surprisingly, I think he's as driven today as he was back then, as excited to coach every day. He comes in with an unbelievable enthusiasm and passion. I mentioned it earlier. He creates a fun environment for the players, but also for the coaches, right? Like, we're having fun. I think the kids are feeding off of that, and I think he's created that environment. Yeah, he's as driven as I've ever seen him before. He's as passionate. He loves being around these guys. They enjoy being around him. So it reminds me of my years with him at Memphis.
Have your paths crossed with Coach Larinaga before? And when you think of his teams, what are the characteristics of Jim Larinaga?
Years ago, I was at the University of Drexel, and he was at George Mason, if I'm not mistaken. We were in the Colonial, and Coach Larinaga is a New Yorker. I'm a New Yorker, so I'm familiar with his background. And he's always had disciplined teams, really good offensive teams. Everywhere he's been, he's been successful. They're not going to beat themselves. George Mason, they did not beat themselves. Obviously had an incredible run to the Final Four. He goes to Miami. They're not beating themselves. They've been one of the better teams, if not the best team in the ACC in recent years. And dating back to Bowling Green, his teams are super disciplined, unselfish, and really good on offense.
Obviously, the focus is on tomorrow night, this year's team, and it's going to be the first time we talked to you since the 24 signing clause got announced. And you obviously have had a big role in that, along with the other coaches. So could you touch on each of those 4 signees and what you hope they'll bring to Lexington come next year?
Well, I think collectively they fit what Coach Cal wants. So I think first and foremost we found the right fit for Kentucky and found the right fit for Coach Cal. So I think often guys get caught up in rankings, and they may be ranked really high, but they may not be a good fit for that coach. And then you realize, man, you know what? That's never going to work. I think we did a good job of finding the right guys for Coach Cal at Kentucky, and so far they've had a good fall, and we're excited to watch these guys throughout the year.
I remember SEC Basketball Media Day, I asked Cal about you, and just like unprompted, he brought up that he kind of felt like you've been the key force in recruiting since you got back here. How much, I mean, I know like that's part of the job description, but does that feel good that you're like Cal went out of his way to mention what you brought to this program already?
Yeah, Coach Cal's great that way. You know, he's always trying to promote his assistants in the program. But truth be told, you know, Chin, Orlando, and Brew, and Coach Cal, I mean, they've done an unbelievable job. I mean, they had the #1 recruiting class last year. So it's not like they've been struggling in that category. I mean, Cal's been generous in his words, and he's been great in terms of trying to promote me. But truth be told, they had the #1 class last year. They've had the #1 class in years past. This is something that they've done really well over the years. But to answer your question, it feels good. Yeah.
Just in general, how's the first few weeks working here been for you? Any surprises about it so far?
It's been great. The people in Lexington have been awesome. You know, I've been to Rupp before as an opposing coach when I was at South Carolina. I spent 5 years with Frank Martin. It was a different welcoming when we walked in. So it's good to have Big Blue Nation behind you as opposed to them booing you. The people have been good. The people at the school have been tremendous. The kids have been incredible. And as you guys mentioned, Coach Cal and the staff have been unbelievable with me. So it's been good. It's been really good.
I know you try to approach every game the same way, but when they've got another shot at a top 10 team and they've got them at home this time, do you see the guys getting excited for one like that?
I think I would imagine like human nature is, hey, this is a great opportunity. But our guys, they've been that way every game. They really have. You know, sometimes when you have a young group, you're kind of concerned if they're up for the game. I think a few weeks ago or a month ago, we played Georgetown exhibition, and I remember asking the young guys, hey, you guys excited? And like, they were like genuinely excited. And so that's been good. That's been really good, because I think they just want to play and compete. But to answer your question, I think it's a great opportunity for us.
You mentioned, you know, kind of how stylistically Miami is similar. Does it make it, given how similar you guys kind of play, it makes it easier to simulate that in practice? So you're not, like, they don't have like a 7-footer, some guy that you guys just can't like replicate right now because of the way that.
Yeah, you know, it allows us to I guess focus in on certain things, and their numbers are so jarring. I mean, they just pop off the page: 3-point line, 3-point line, 3-point line. So obviously we're working on trying to defend the 3-point line and not give them easy baskets in transition, and force them to try to take tough 2-point shots. But Coach Larinaga and his staff, they're working as well, so it's not going to be as easy as we would like it to be.